Hello heathens and welcome to my channel. I am Beauty Heathen and my channel is dedicated to the exploration of paganism through the medium of cosmetics. If you enjoy this subject matter or find my content of interest, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and set the bell to all to be notified of when I upload new videos. In today's episode we will be exploring Siberian shamanism. As anyone who may follow me on Twitter may know, this episode is coming to you a day late, and there's a very significant reason why for that. In the very first episode, in my intro episode, I showed briefly a chart that showed the evolution of human religion over time. But there was one thing that chart did not include, and that was Siberian shamanism. And if you happen to click on the reference link below, I give a link to that chart. Like I said, it's just not listed. And there is a main reason why I'm covering specifically Siberian shamanism, and that is because it is literally the parent form of shamanism to all Asian shamanistic forms. But not only that, Siberian shamanism is considered the motherland, per se, of predominantly all human forms of shamanism. So rather than delve into the individual forms like I was initially going to do, I had to punt and rework things so I could do the most justice to all the forms of shamanism that I could. Sorry for the shakiness, I had to move the cable so that there was less shadow. And not only does this affect Asian shamanism, but nomadic tribes in and around Siberia actually crossed into North America, Canada, and this group of people predominantly is responsible for primarily all the indigenous people in North America, South America, even all the way through to Greenland, Scandinavia. I will cover the Scandinavian and Paleo-Indian shamanistic forms in tomorrow's episode. I wanted to focus today's episode primarily on the Asian forms stemming from Siberian shamanism. This form of shamanism is largely still practiced today and comprises some of the major pagan religions, including but not limited to Buddhism, Shinto, Muism, that's spelled M as in Michael, U-I-S-M, Taoism, Jainism, which if you watched Jane the Virgin you may have heard of before, and Hinduism. Some research even regards Siberia to be a heartland, as I said, of shamanism, and a big reason for that is the enormity of the amount of people, cultures, beliefs, and territories that practitioners of Siberian shamanism evolved and spread from. And that includes groups in Hungary. Hungary is largely Christian today, but back around when this time was, it included Hungary, Turkey, all of the Asian countries from China, although China is atheist predominantly today. They used to have forms of shamanism that they practiced. India, Japan, Korea, Vietnam, Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, the Philippines. I mean, this form of shamanism encompassed a very, very, very large territory. And like I said, rather than delving into every single culture that evolved from it for the sake of time and expediency, I'm going to basically cover just the main one, as in future videos I will be delving more into those shamanistic and polytheistic paths on my channel. Shamanism is often considered one of the oldest forms of spirituality in the world. The word shaman actually comes from the Turkish language for saman. And if I'm mispronouncing that, again, I apologize. I am not a linguist by any means. And it was referring to a kind of indigenous Siberian religious or spiritual specialist. Practices akin to those observed in ancient Siberia have been documented and experienced in many, if not most, cultures around the world, contemporary and ancient. Because of these perceived similarities, the word shaman has, like paganism, become an umbrella term that signifies a host of religious specialists and spiritual practitioners worldwide. In traditional societies, the role of the shaman was very multifaceted. Mostly they were recognized as persons of knowledge. A shaman held the simultaneous role of a healer, a spiritual guide, a diviner, and a ritualist specialist. And even over the course of time, this may have even evolved into more political realms as well. Classically viewed as a mediator between worlds, the shaman sought and received guidance and knowledge from the spirit realm in order to solve problems and overcome conflicts found within human society. Now, generally, given the cultures being discussed and everything, I should generally be using the medium tone head right now, and I apologize that I'm not. I'm just returning to work this week from having some vacation time and having used the head earlier in the week. I'm not gonna lie, I was a bit lazy after trying to get back into the groove of things at work and just didn't manage to get it clean for this episode. But based on face paints of Siberian shamans, I'm doing kind of a combination look today of two different foundations. um, so I can try my best to replicate one of the looks that I saw. One of the hallmark features of a shamanic practitioner is their ability to enter specific altered states of consciousness with the intent to access the spirit world and successfully return with whatever it is were seeking. Be it a healing method, a solution to a problem, knowledge, the whereabouts of something. It could even be a song, an answer to a question, or any sort of guidance. I'm using the standard foundations that I always use, Manic Panic and HD LA Girl, sorry. The world of the shamans emanating from Siberia include many nomadic tribal communities, especially those in the Mongol, Buryat, and Tungus people. It's largely related with that of the Turk people in the High Altai, or the Altaic, the Khakas, and Tuva, and with the Bond religion of Tibet. The tribes living in the northern part of Mongolia, in the northeastern area of Mongolia, and in the western Mongolia, as well as some tribes living in central Mongolia, still maintain the ancient shamanic traditions. These practices are still present today, and the people of Siberia comprise a variety of ethnic groups, many of whom continue to observe shamanic practices, and in some cultures the music or song related to shamanic practices may mimic natural sounds, and sometimes even onomatopoeia, which, if you're not sure what that means, it basically is words that mimic natural sounds. So much like you would say oink for a pig or meow for a cat, that's what onomatopoeia is. Some even develop the skill to do overtone singing. Some have developed the ability to sing with both sets of their vocal cords simultaneously, which, if you've never heard it, I highly recommend you look it up, because it is really something to listen to hear somebody sing both with their upper register and lower register in the same voice. It's really incredible. No lie. Let me try doing this with a brush a bit. It's a little patchy. That's a little bit better. Not that it has to be perfect, but I would like it a little bit better than that which I was being able to get with the sponge. Okay. Another aspect of these tribes is they would conduct basically astral travel, which, if you are not a pagan or somebody who has heard of that term before, it basically means the person is kind of going into a trance-like state and sending their consciousness into the spirit realm. I did not know that practice started with Siberian shamanism. Although it makes sense because you have many of the religious leaders in the various forms that have evolved from that who practice that today. In Siberian shamanism, we also saw some tribes assigning multiple shamans in their community to specific purposes, such as one shaman might be assigned to speak with the dead, while another might be assigned to speak with different levels or types of spirits, while even another might be assigned to duties of performing sacred rites or to heal the sick. Shamans of the Yupik tribe were one of the groups that traveled across, I believe it was the Bering Strait, into North America. They are one of the Inuit tribes, I believe. They were two that migrated over. They were the ones who did soul projection or astral travel to other realms. And it would be for many reasons. You could do it for asking the spirits for success with hunting. It could even be to avoid calamities that might be occurring or showing up, and be it natural or otherwise. And if the wrath of the spirits might have been incurred by something they considered taboo having been breached, the shaman could also call upon their members of their tribe to give confession, which I found highly interesting that confession began in shamanism. That was something I did not know by any means. That was brand new information for me. And I have to say, it makes sense that they would do that, because how else would the shaman be able to ascertain how to best fix the issue for their people and how to best appease the spirits? Like Siberian and Central Asian shamanism, East and South Asian shamanism continues to be practiced today in many forms as well. So for Central Asian, you had the Buddhism, Hindu, and such. But when you go to East and South Asian shamanism, you had Taoism, Muism, which is in Korea, I believe, or Vietnam. It's one or the other, and I can't remember which, so don't quote me on it. I will delve more into that when I get to that aspect. But Again, I will continue that content with time. But I have to say, all in all, I did not expect this subject to be as big as it is going to be, and I did not expect that it was going to be so all-encompassing. There isn't a lot of information available about the ancient Siberian shamanism. Archaeologists and anthropologists have largely just uncovered information over time, and they have reported back anything that they've found. Unfortunately, we have seen in more recent years some of these tribal communities dying out, especially because, having been so ancient, it was largely developed before politics or cultural divide and country divide. And over time, as countries developed and walls were built between countries, and a lot of the nomadic tribes were kind of cornered into their specific locations. Over time, they've just started dying out. One of the community's last shamans recently died, I believe in as recent as 2000. And I know that comes with time and everything, but I can't help but feel a little bit sad about it. I know it's evolution, and I know it's nature, and I know that with time comes change, and some die out while some remain, and apparently I put that you can see I put that in the foundation that I didn't mean to do. Ay, ay, ay. And now it's all over my skin, which, that's fine, it washes. But anyway, I'm sorry this episode was kind of a mess. Finding that information out literally yesterday while I was trying to wrap things up with regard to making sure that the content and the script was well done for this episode, kind of threw me off a bit. And thankfully I have a very understanding and supportive boss, so when I found that out, I was allowed the time to fix that, because he knows that I'm working on this project, and it's something that's a creative outlet and interest to myself as well as others. So anyway, with all of that said, this is the look for today. This is I tried to, as well as I could, replicate a Siberian shamanism face paint look that I had found. And I wish you well, and until next time, brightest blessings, and blessed be.